We're going to. Hello and welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself, Paul and Jenny from Host for Ghosts, Angela from South Coast Ghosts, Abnormal Paranormal, David Ben, welcome back boys, Luke in the bottom corner, one of our investigators, and somewhere in the background is a haunted doll. Oh no, sorry Luke, it's your mum. Sorry about that. Tonight, unfortunately, Julia won't be on tonight because she's quite unwell, so she's just sent me a message to read out to you on her account of Saturday night. So, Saturday night, we were at, I don't know, sure how you say it, Nothe Fort, Into the Dark Paranormal. Highway, welcome. Nothe Fort, we call it, Nothe Fort in Weymouth. It's what?
Nothe.
Yeah, Nohthe or something. I don't know. That's probably why I got lost. So there weren't many signposts for it, to be honest. Anyway, we were there Saturday night, and what an investigation! Quite quiet, but some of the things we had. Sally Ball, hi, all Sally from Ghost Dragon. Hi, Sally, welcome. I think you lot have been there as well, but we thought it was a bit quiet. But what did happen was quite amazing when it did happen. I mean, we had all sorts of different things go on. What I could do is, obviously, the Nothe Fort has been Weymouth, and it was built in 1860 to 1872. So it dates back. So now it's a fort, a military museum. It's well worth going if you just go there for the day. A nuclear bunker, tunnels.
Great for the kids.
It's great for the kids, so it's well worth taking the day out and going there. There's lots of interaction, lots of things to see how the soldiers would have lived, and it's very, very good. It's very, very well laid out. I'm just going to read out what Julia put, because obviously she would have gone first, because it was a Paranation event that was hosted by Paranation and Julia and her team. So get well soon, Julia, if you're watching this, from all of us on here and everybody watching. So she's put, we went to the ghost passage to begin. We had some glass moving through, and we saw a few shadowy movements down in the tunnels. Gemma took some photos and caught what looks like a ghostly lady in one of her photos. We got a photo to show you a bit later, but that Gemma caught. Absolute cracking photo. Absolutely great photo. She put back in the base room. Gemma and myself decided to go take a look, and I took some photos too. We were walking back to the base room, and along the tunnel, we both heard what sounded like a couple of voices around us. They were very loud, and we couldn't make out what they were saying. We both froze, and Gemma started screaming. Gemma is quite edgy when you're in a ghost investigation. She's quite funny, but she's really good. Excellent investigator. I could tell she was really scared. We walked back fast to the base room. Walking down the tunnels later the evening, there was around 6 of us, and we clearly heard a whistle. Maybe the whistling gunner. We're not sure. We decided to do the Estes, which was suggested by Matt, and we got lots of go, get out, Sophia, the lady doing Esther's, Gemma, and I'm sure Gemma can remember more than me. I need to listen back to my recordings. Later, we were joined by Jen, Angela, Paul in the tank room, and lots of knocks and shadowy figures in there. All in all, a very good night. So that was from Julia. That's Julia's side of it. Myself, I was down the tunnels and sort of occasionally brushed across the boys that were down there as well. We sort of, they were one side, he couldn't get past and we couldn't get, so we were shouting over. And even when we were standing there with Jen and that on the table, we heard, what would you say, boys? A knock, a shout, a voice?
I'd say it's like a knock that we heard. Yeah, it was coming from like down your end of the corridor.
No, it was your end. We're on our end.
Back
We heard what sounded like a knock in a response, but to us, our side of the table, it sounded like it was with Ben and Dave's side. They said, no, it's your side. So we weren't really sure. A few times that happened where we weren't sure which side of it the noise was coming from.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit confusing that. I thought definitely theirs. And then they were standing and I thought I saw a shadow figure go past. But Dave then told me there was someone moving around in the background that walked past, was it?
Yeah, they walked fast through the door, yeah.
So that dashed that, so we didn't see a shadowy figure. They put the mockers on that. But in my experience, I spent quite a lot of time with Luke and Lynn. We wandered around with Jen. Jen was sort of backwards and forwards because she suffers with a bad back, so she does a lot of sitting around and keeping warm and that. But eventually joined us, and we were down the tunnel in the part of the tunnel room that was called Women at War, I think, if I remember rightly. It was like a communications type radio, wasn't it, Luke, in the middle of the room? Do you remember that?
The communications room, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, was it Women at War, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we sat in there and we did a bit of calling out. We first, was that where we had the other ladies and we had the noise?
Yeah.
That's right, because we were in there and we were calling and we had some noises, didn't we? And then we whistled out. Can anybody whistle back? And like we do the traditional. And I don't know how many seconds later it was. We're right in the very distant. And we all sort of looked at each other and said, you all hear? And everybody had heard it. But lucky for us, I'd caught it on the voice recorder. And you can actually hear it. I'll post it on the site because it's very quiet. So I need to bring the sound up a little bit. But you can clearly hear it down the tunnel. And then we had the same again somewhere else. We caught the whistle again. And then it turns out there's a whistling gunner that's in the tunnels.
Yeah.
So it was, what'd you say, Luke? Sorry.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, I found that. I searched up when I went back home and I saw it on the website.
Yeah, well done. That was good.
That was good. Yeah, it was good to check out after. So we know what we're looking at, you know, whether we could debunk it as someone else whistling. But
yeah.
I do remember Julia and Gemma saying, if Gemma's on here, she might back us up, that they clearly heard a very loud, very crisp whistle back. Because they said, was it you when we arrived? Go straight. We got some good sounds on our Nothe Fort footage. Yeah, I've got to go back over my video because I had it running a lot. Yeah, it's very common to hear about the gunnery whistler. We were surprised at, you know, how clear the whistle was. So we were wandering round and up and down, and we stopped in a few places, but a little bit quiet. We had some tapping. So myself, Luke, Lynn, and Ben and Dave, at first, we decided to go to the water tank room. So to have a listen to the echoes in the water tank room. And I think it changed when we went in there. I don't know whether you want to tell us about your experience in there, boys, when we were in there.
Yeah, it got really dark in there, and we heard like this massive loud bang all with us, and yeah, we got quite scared then. And we all ran out. Well, tried to run out.
We were all running into each other, really. Couldn't see no one. Couldn't see anything.
That was funny, wasn't it? We were laughing our heads off.
That was a bang, mind. That was a hell of a bang.
We heard other noises as well, like now and then as well. Like,
yeah, we heard what sounded like shuffling and movement or dragging or something, but we couldn't really work out where it was coming from, other than down into the right hand side of the room. And obviously, we you know, we did the shouting out. Can anybody make a noise? Can you tap on the gate? Can you do so? And it was the biggest bang in front of us. And as I sort of looked, as I was heading out, I could see what looked to me like a shadow by the gate. Whether it was or not, I don't know, because I was too busy trying to get out at that stage.
Yeah.
So they got a bit hectic in there. Luke and Lynn were already out and on their way. So that's how good investigators they are. Didn't wait to see if we were all right. Just legged it. But that bang was quite something, wasn't it? They like to slam doors, as Stanley said. We experienced that a lot. It could have been a door, but it was in front of us. Whether it was the gate slamming, but it was the biggest bang.
Yeah,
We did. It sort of made you jump really, because it was dark and it was eerily quiet, wasn't it? It's quiet as quiet. We were saying how quiet it is, but we said, didn't we? This is so quiet. Listen how quiet it is. And then bang, we got it. And then
it's when we went onto the platform, like when we all just stood there in the dark on the platform by the water tank, and I felt something grab my arm, just
that's
like that.
right.
Yeah. I looked down, and there was obviously you were quite far away from me, and I thought, what the hell was that? It just felt like he grabbed my arm.
It was that was really good, wasn't it? You were looking at everybody to try and
freaked out from it as well. I was like, oh my god.
It was a bit. So we'll use the word freaky, I suppose. Yeah, it was, and especially when Dave said he's just had someone touch his arm, because we knew there was someone in there because we could hear shuffling and movement and bits and pieces. So we knew someone was there. And then at one stage we were standing on the platform, and I think we heard scratching, didn't we?
Definitely.
Did somebody?
Yeah, scratching. Yeah, what was that?
Hi, Alan. I went down inside, and it can confirm that there are no other doors or anything that could have slammed. Right. Thanks, Alan. Thank you. Welcome onto Monday Night Paranormal Live. It's good to have you here. But we actually heard what sounded like scratching.
It was.
And we were asking each other, has anybody been scratched or, anything? And people were looking at each other saying, well, it sounded like this or sounded like that. It's very, I don't know what your thoughts are on it. Yeah, Angela, you were there at the same time, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
What did you think it was?
I don't know. It did sound like someone like scratching over their clothing, like having an itch under a pair of jeans or something. It's that kind of sound, but
the thing was, everyone at that point in time were dead still and dead quiet.
Yeah.
What did you think, Luke, when you heard it?
What point was it? Where was we in the water?
The scratching when we were at the water tower.
Was I there? Was I there then?
I think they'd gone by then.
I think
right, maybe. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, maybe you were gone. We were standing on the platform, and we heard what sounded like someone scratching themselves over their clothes.
Yeah,
and it was really clear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we're all looking at each other what you could do in the dark, and sort of asking each other, "Did you just scratch your leg? Did you scratch your arm? Did you?" And we was looking at each other to see if anybody had been scratched by something that obviously we couldn't see. But it turns out nobody was scratching at that time. But every one of us clearly heard what sounded like a true scratching, but couldn't really work out where it come from. The tank room.
It was so clear.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking in my head. I wanted to say, "Are you having a nice scratch there?" Whoever it was. I didn't want to judge him because I didn't want to.
Say what you think, mate. Say what you think. And how dark did it go there?
Really
Oh my god!
Yeah,
wow.
That did really change in there, didn't it? When we were in there, the second part, there was myself, Angela, the boys were there, Gemma, Julia, and Jen. When we were all standing on the platform, and it was dark, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It definitely changed since we first went in there.
Yeah.
But that to me was one of the highlights. There was the response to the big loud bang and the noise. But all in all, we've got a lot of footage to go back over. Hi, Gemma. Welcome. We've managed to find your pictures, so we're going to put on there. Andrew will put a picture up in a minute with Gemma caught at Nothe Fort on Saturday. Cracking picture. Unreal. So well done, Gemma. That was a good photo.
Yeah, great.
Andrew will put it up in a minute. But it is a cracking photo, so well done you, girl. Really good evidence. Ghost Dragon Invest, how did you find the bottom of the elevator area? That was with the schoolroom boys, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Where we sat in the schoolroom.
Yeah.
What did we hear there? Didn't we hear something? Like a phone ringing. Was I with you when we heard a phone ringing? Do you remember?
That was weird, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, the elevator area is always active. We found that. We were actually sitting in the schoolroom, myself and the boys, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we could hear a telephone ringing. You remember?
Yeah, it just started ringing and then suddenly just went off. And we went out because I looked out because I was by the door and I thought, there's no one around. Where's this phone coming from? Like,
yeah. That was
Yeah.
really interesting down there, wasn't it?
It did sound like an older phone, didn't it? Like an
Yes.
older sort of thing.
Yeah. Because we sort of all of us, didn't we, looked at each other and went, sounds like a phone ringing. Did you get any names when you were in the schoolroom? The only name I had in my head was the only one was a man called Joseph. Now we're not sure who he was, but that was the first name as I walked in there that we got straight away. And also we were running one of the spirit apps in there to give it a try. And we said to us, "Can you say anybody's name in the room?" And he went, "Gemma." And it clearly said Gemma. You remember, Luke?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And it clearly didn't. It went Gem.
Yeah.
Which was, obviously it hit Gemma, and Gemma's like, "What would that say?" But it actually said Gemma in two sort of stages. So that was really good. But Joseph was the name I got as soon as we went in there. But around that elevator, when me and the boys went back there, it was a different level, wasn't it, really? What did you get from the classroom? You were both in there, weren't you, with your cameras and bits?
Yeah, what did we get? Not too much in there, was it? No, it wasn't too much in there, to be honest.
No. I just wondered whether you'd caught, there's a governess there. Okay. Called Edmund.
To be honest, though, we need to go back over the footage because you never know what you've captured.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? We had the cameras running. I had mine running, and obviously you need time to get back over it now and start looking. We got nothing from there. Alan Toop. Yeah, we found it quiet. Sorry, good day.
Interesting. When we at the start we went round and done like an intro up on the top by the
ramparts up on the top
by the big guns and stuff.
Yeah.
Tell them about it said about the big guns, didn't it?
Yeah, it did say guns. Or something,
on it.
Yeah.
He had his
S-box.
Yeah.
SP7.
He had his spirit box on.
It did say.
And it came out.
Yeah,
did it?
Yeah. One of them said
yeah, it said by the big guns. By the big guns. Yeah.
Did it?
And we were stood by the big guns at the time, which was quite interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? That's a good catcher.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't go outside. Do they head down the tunnels? It can be just as active outside, up on the ramparts.
Oh, yeah. I think we got that on camera as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were filming at the time. So, yeah.
But we had the cameras running in the schoolroom as well, didn't we? So maybe between us, we might have got the gunner room up on the top.
Yeah, it was on the right at the top.
Outside bit.
Yeah. Where the big guns
are.
Yeah,
I saw you go up there because you were doing an introduction, weren't you, up there?
Yeah.
But what else did you get, boys, on your way round?
We tried different places, didn't we?
Yeah, didn't really get much in the bunker bit, apart from his phone breaking.
Yeah, that was just weird. That was we were walking through the nuclear bunker bit. I literally got my phone out just to check what time it was. And I literally got out because Ben stood right next to me, and it said, "Oh, your phone's unavailable for 1 hour." I was like, "What's going on here?"
Really?
Yeah, that was the weirdest.
It's got to
thing
be
that
something to do with the bunker, though. Like,
Yeah.
possibly a jammer or something.
Because I hadn't been on my phone, and I literally showed Ben straight. I was like,
Yeah,
what does this mean? I was like, I've never seen this message on my phone before.
Something interfered with his phone.
Really weird it was. Yeah.
And that was only in that area. It just happened the once, or
Just once, wasn't it?
Well, just for an hour. Yeah. I'll probably.
and did it actually shut the phone down for an hour?
Sorry.
Did it actually shut the phone down for an hour?
It just won't let. It doesn't let you access anything.
Yeah.
That's it.
It says the phone unavailable.
Yeah. Weird.
How weird is that?
Yeah.
Ghost Dragon Investigation. Did you try the room with all the plaques in? They used to use it for meetings, etc. Yeah, because I think that's where the medals were as well. Sally Balls put, I'm pretty sure we had a Joseph come through. If I'm right, there is a plaque with the name Joseph on it. I didn't notice that, Sally. As soon as I walked in the room, I heard Joseph saying in my head. And we called out a couple of times, Joseph, are you here? And we thought when we were in there, we heard a couple of noises outside of what we would call a schoolroom by the elevator. But we weren't sure. But then we heard the phone ringing.
Yeah.
So we really weren't sure what we were actually hearing. And we know there was nobody else there, was there? Because Dave looked out.
That was so strange. Like, because I literally looked out, and it was only us three in that area at the time. There was no one around. I looked out, and there was no one there.
Yeah.
So
It's a very, very strange area, that. It's very true what you're saying about it's a very active area. I mean, we didn't actually sit outside the schoolroom and try, but we were in the schoolroom, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, there was bits, but they're noises, but the phone ringing was the thing, wasn't it? You know, that was quite different for me to hear a phone ring. But like you say, it was an old-fashioned type phone, wasn't it? But I don't know in that area where there would have been an old-fashioned phone or a really old phone in that area.
No.
I saw obviously phones in the communication room upstairs with the mannequin and all that in it, but that was the only phone I saw. Or the Women at War, there was like headphones you could put on and listen to the story. But other than that, I can't say that I saw any other phones there.
No.
Sally Balls, but the schoolroom is a very strange place. We heard shuffling and looked up and down the corridor, but couldn't see anyone or anything there. So we had a few noises, but you know, we were sort of saying, okay, we'll move on and find, you know, go to a different. And then I think at that time, that's when we heard the phone, because all of us looked at each other and it sounds like a phone ringing.
Yeah. And it was just for a second, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost like a sound that was just like trapped in time, because it was quite funny. We were talking about the time because of the clock, weren't we, at the time?
Yes. Yes. That's a good shout. That's a good point. Yeah. At that time, we said, I said to you, I can't see a clock in here. And you said, no, there's one just here by the window, didn't you? And then that's when, just at that time, we heard the phone go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew, what did you get on your wander around?
Well, there was a few bits when we were doing the walk around, wasn't there? With me, you, and Gemma.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what we got, but it was like we heard something, and then we were looking back, and it's like you knew something was there, but you didn't know whereabouts or what it was.
Yeah.
And I did hear some whispering as well in that like ghost bit.
Where was that? In the tunnel or just?
Yeah, the bit where it said ghost corridor, ghost tunnel or something.
Oh yeah, ghost trail, ghost something or other, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The ghost passage, I think it was.
That's the one.
That's it, ghost passage. Yeah, yeah. That was interesting. I went down there because it says the walls talk.
Yeah.
So I stood down on my own for a while in the dark, calling out, but I couldn't really get anything out. You had the eerie feeling that someone was like behind you, watching you all the time. You're constantly walking along, keep looking behind you all the time. A very strange sensation, really, to be honest. You know, a few times I went off on my own in the dark, sat in a couple of the rooms in the dark. There was knocks and taps and bits, but you know, I was hoping something would come through, talk to us, or you know. But when we were in the tank room, I think that was the bit for me when you know, the bangs and the noises, the shuffling, the dragging, you know, and it's not just me that heard it, it was all of us that heard it at that time. The kids, obviously, myself, Ben and Dave and Luke and Lynn heard the massive bang. It could have been the gate slamming shut. I don't know, but it was
bang. That was just.
it was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, Gemma. Gemma's not sure what group I was with, but we heard a very long whistle in one of the corridors. Plus, when me and Julia were walking in another corridor, we felt like 3 or 4 people around us all talking, but couldn't make out. And it got really cold. When me and Paul and Julia walked on the ghost passage, I thought it was Angela's phone talking, but she was recording. That's right, she did to you, didn't she? Are you playing something?
Yeah, she thought I was playing a video or something, but I was doing a recording, so I don't know what that was.
No. She said, "Are you sure you're not playing a video?" And you went, "No, I'm actually recording."
Yeah.
So, you know, to me, it was very audible. But I know I saw someone standing at the gate in the water tank area when we were there, when the bang, like somebody had slammed the gate shut, maybe. But you know, we were busy trying to get out, and the scratching. What was that? We all heard that.
What was that scratching?
I don't want to know.
It cracks me up. I'm sorry, I can't relax.
I don't know how to explain that, to be honest. I don't know, because we were all quizzing each other, weren't we? Who was that? Who did that? Who was this? Did you scratch? Did you? Like Jim was saying, it was quite an experience, especially if you can't debunk it.
No,
you know, you know, everybody's honest enough to say, yeah, that was me that banged the gate, or that was me that moved, or that. But nobody owned up to the scratching, and it was very, very clear scratching.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and we're all thought, what on earth was that? You know, a couple of bits we had a bit of a noise above us, but we think it may be the polystyrene tile that moved.
Yeah.
But when myself, Dave, and Ben, I think Luke was there that first time, we had definitely had a knock above us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You said about, can you make a noise? And there was a noise above us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was straight after, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Luke, what did you get? You wandered around. How did you get on?
I think I went the wrong way. I went through this weird narrow tunnel, and there's a dead end at the end of it.
Don't worry, Luke, we did that as well.
Yeah.
No AO road maps down there, mate. You can't get Google Maps down them tunnels. Where was that tunnel then? I never saw that.
That
Where
was
the museum bit, wasn't it? Where the beds were.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, where it was. I won't be able to find it again.
We were lost.
No. I don't know. I think when we were walking around, we were going around in circles. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. We seem to come out of the right place every time, but how we got there, I would not know. I really wouldn't know how to got there. Ghost Dragon, the old escape tunnel near the front gate. Yes, that's where we were coming in and out of down there. Because I think there's a lot of the rooms on the top in the parade ground were locked, had a steel gate one end, and up some stairs.
It was up some stairs, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Alan's put, we went in there and it was a weird sound like you were being followed, but no one was there. That's the feeling you had all night, Alan. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
He said something weird.
Yeah, I was videoing down there, so that we did actually think we were getting followed down there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was walking along with my little recorder, I had it facing behind rather than in front. So it'd be interesting to see if I did pick up anything.
Yeah.
I know when they were doing the board, and I wandered off down the tunnel because I put a camera and a cat ball down there.
Yeah.
Ghost Dragon Investigations, we had a few stones thrown in that tunnel. Wow. I thought a couple of times while they were on the board, on the table with the glass, that someone was walking up that tunnel. Because I kept saying, come on, come up the tunnel. And it was
Yeah.
just like, because we heard, I think someone heard the door close down there. Is that like glass partition door between the
Yeah.
two bits of tunnel? And someone said they'd heard the door close, but I didn't hear that. But I had a feeling something was coming. Something was coming along that tunnel. I kept walking off and sort of looking just around the bend so you could just about see it. And I left the camera down there running. So it'd be interesting to see whether the camera picked up any noises. Sally Balls put the building on the road leading up to Nothe Fort was used as to be the barrack. There is a pub which is no longer a pub, but the building is still there. My son works at Cephas, Weymouth. Their building is on the road leading up. A few of the workers had an experiences. Spirits would be travelling around a lot between the barracks and the Nothe Fort. Oh well. So even around the area leading up to it. Because I walked up there a few times to make sure everybody was in out of the car park, because the car park's under the tunnel and out the other end. A couple of times I walked up there, right up to the car park, and couldn't see anybody there. But you know, when you're walking back, you sort of look, thinking, you know, is that someone coming? Because it sounded like someone was behind me, and I thought, well, there ain't nobody there because I've just been there. But that was quite strange. You know, get that feeling someone's trotting behind you type of thing. But it could have been. But I never had the camera. I had the camera set somewhere else, and sort of went up there to make sure everybody was in and out of the car parks. We were waiting on a couple of people to come, and I think they had a bit of car trouble. So we were sort of wondering, make sure that everybody was in ready to go for the evening, because obviously the times had changed because of the clocks going forward an hour. So we didn't know whether it sort of caught people out that were sort of 7 o'clock, and you know, it was 6 o'clock and that type of thing. But it was good. Most of everybody turned up. A couple of people had car problems, so they were a little bit late arriving, but they came in. So all in all, it was a good night. What did you think of the whole of the experience, boys?
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Very interesting place. Like
Sally
I
Ball,
don't think it was our
Sorry.
most active, but it was very, very good.
Bigger
Very
than
interesting.
I thought it was as well.
Yeah.
It's quite big actually.
yeah. You don't realise, do you? Sally's Balls put it's a brilliant place because all the staff stay in the main building while investigations, any noises can be accounted by everyone involved in the investigation. That's very true, because he sat in the office on the top parade ground and never really saw him till like the bit of the health and safety in the beginning, and not right until the end when he was getting ready to lock up about 1 o'clock, I think it was, when it boys we were wandering out the gate about 1 o'clock-ish, I think.
Yeah.
So that was the only other time we saw him, really. To be honest, you didn't see a great deal of people when you were investigating either, did you?
No.
You know,
Yeah.
it's surprising. Like,
Yeah.
it's a huge vault, massive, really.
Yeah.
And you go underground and you go under the tunnels, you start to lose yourself, don't you? Because you think, did I go left or right? Was it right? I got the. And even once you're in the tunnels, it all looks the same. You're thinking, well, did I come this way? David's a great host of Nothe Fort. Yes, absolutely. You know, he was really, really good. Dan Winstanley, thank you for tuning in. Good evening, all. Yes, he was very good. Did the health and safety walk around, which was quite interesting. Obviously, to be aware that you're in an old building, and yeah, he was very good. Didn't see him for the rest of the night until we were actually leaving. He appeared, and he's had to go around and make sure everything was shut, and we were all gone, and we hadn't left anybody behind like Luke. But unfortunately, Luke left a little bit earlier because his driver Amy was not well, so they obviously got home safely, which was the main point, which is what we like to hear. Anything else?
Do you want me to put Gemma's photo up now?
Yeah, please. Have a look at this photo and then send in a comment. See what you think. It's a great capture. A really good picture. So well done, Gemma. Excellent. You know, at first, when I first saw it with Gemma, she showed me, and like adamant that someone was carrying their head.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what your thoughts are, anybody out there, if you can see it. But then we thought maybe it's an adult with their hands on the shoulder of a child.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Anybody? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a very interesting picture, isn't it?
Yeah, it does look like two people. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Where was it taken?
I think
So
at the
it's
top of the stairs, wasn't it? By the going to Gemma, if you're on here, just let us know where it was. I think Gemma said to me, the top of the stairs as you go down to the tunnels, out the mess room on the left. And I think she said it was there, that area. She caught it. But what a great picture!
yeah.
Into the dark, definitely someone carrying their head. This is what we first initially thought. Things are really, really dark. Was the flash on? Gemma, can you answer that question? Did you have the flash on outside the schoolroom? Right. So it was in that active area outside the schoolroom where you were saying earlier, in the active area there. Did you have the flash on your camera, Gemma? Because Francis Gars, hi, welcome to Monday night. Looks like an adult and a child. That's the sense I get from it. This is what I thought.
Yeah.
You know, no, she didn't have the flash on. And that's what I thought. It was like an adult with their hands on a child's shoulder. Because in them days, they would have used children to carry ammunition around the fort. You know, they had quite a hard life when you sort of look at the history of a fort. They used to use it. Graham Bentley, hi Graham, welcome to Monday night. I think it's a woman and a child. Would seem strange, a woman carrying her head. I don't know. I don't know, Graham. I think it's a cracking picture. You know, a real good picture. But whether it's someone carrying their head, or somebody had their head chopped off there, or an accident happened, or whether it's an adult with one arm around the shoulder of a child.
It's like two people.
Sorry?
It looks like two people to me. It looks like multiple bodies.
Strange, isn't it?
It's a great
I don't know.
It's a really good capture, though. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Dan Winstanley, it's like an adult with no head, but his arm is around a child, maybe. Yeah. But I don't know. I suppose I don't know. It's such a good picture. Did you not see that with your eyes, Gemma? It's such a strong image without a flash, not to see it. Did you see it with your eyes, Gemma, or what made you take a picture there? Did you have a feeling? Because you're quite sensitive, aren't you? You do pick up lots of stuff. Did you just feel that you needed to take a picture? I don't know if you're still can answer the question. What made you take the picture? But I don't know. It's a great, like I say, it's a great picture. But whether it's someone carrying their own head, maybe we could do a history check or try and work out if there's an accident. Did someone lose their head there? Did they get? I don't know. Did it? It could be, couldn't it? It could be a gunner and something happened and they lost their head, or I don't know. What do you think, Luke? What do you think on it? What's your thoughts?
Because it was near the classroom. Might be just a child and the teacher or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Gemma's put, I had a feeling but didn't see long as I felt uneasy. Right. So you just took the picture and then headed off. Gemma, were you on your own? Francis Giles? Either that or it's a man and a monkey. I don't actually know. Would they have had a monkey in them days? Maybe. I don't know. The more you sort of look at it, the more you're convinced it may be a head, someone carrying a head, but I'm convinced too big for a child's head.
I was thinking that myself.
Into the dark said that, too big for a child's head. So maybe it is. Maybe it's a soldier there that met with an accident. Yeah, Gemma was on her own. I'm surprised you're on your own, Gemma. That's a great catcher. But Gemma will tell you that how they heard the loud whistle, and apparently it was so clear because not long after they'd heard it, we came along and they said, "Did you whistle?" said, no, we've been in the water tank room
Yeah, that's
down the other.
Yeah, I remember
You remember? She said, "Did you whistle, Sally
Yeah.
Ball? I'm getting a woman and her child who have lost their husband and dad."
Hmm.
You know, that it could be something like that.
Yeah, it looks like two
Yep.
people.
Gemma put, "That's why I didn't stay for long." Good old Gemma, we love you. Dora's put in the hi Dora, welcome to Monday Night Live. In the top of the figure, I can see a face like eyes, nose, and looks like smoke coming out of the mouth. I don't know.
Hmm.
I can't see it. I can't zoom in because obviously I'm on the live. But I wonder whether, like, where its legs would be down the bottom, whether it goes dark because they would have been wearing dark boots, like they would have done in the days. Would they have had boots or would they have worn shoes? I don't know. It might be worth us contacting them and see if they had known of someone that lost their head in an accident there, or you might be able to find it for history. Keep chucking through. But like you say, maybe it's too big for a child's head. But you know, that was one of the great captures of the night, to be honest. Obviously, we'll go through our other footage. Ben and Dave have got footage to go through, same as myself and Angela. So we'll go through and we'll keep you updated on what comes through and what we find. And we'll try and drop over the EVPs and see if you can hear the whistles as well
Yeah.
and see whether we can make them out. So we'll try and get all that back together. But well done, Gemma. A great picture. Whether we'll ever find out who it is, maybe. And some Sally Ball outside there are no boards which show lives lost. They give them names, ages, and how they passed there. There's quite a few children. So, you know, could it be someone that's a spirit that's just holding on to a child while they appear, you know, as a comfort? They say they would have used children to move the ammunition around the fort during them days. Because I've done a couple of forts now. I've done Langar Fort in Felixstowe in Suffolk, and I've done Harwich Redale Fort. In the Felixstowe one, they tell you how how hard a life the children had there. But they were forced to, you know, run cannonballs and ammunition and pack in, and you know they were really, really run into the ground, made to work really hard in their young age. You know, very often the soldiers got the ammunition, they would send the children to go and get it. So whether that was a child that was involved in something happened and it was sadly passed away. Sally Balls, but Weymouth played a huge part in the war, although nothing actually happened at Nothe Fort in the defence. This was because it was a place that was mostly expected to be heavily armed, which it was. The fleet at Weymouth were used heavily in the exercise. The whole area was huge defence during the war and actually worked as a deterrent. I can see why you'd look at that and think, you know, how you'd ever break the walls down, because the walls are hugely thick. You know, I was surprised, especially if you locked yourself down the tunnels. You know, how anybody could ever overrun it. I don't know, because I went up on the ramparts and looked over the edge. Francis Giles, but the animals were used as well as children, I believe. Yeah, to move the ammunition around. Alan, hi Alan. Would have had powder monkeys in Nothe Fort? I don't actually know, Alan. That's a good point. I don't know whether they would have had. They'd have had, like Sally was saying, horses and things drawing cannonballs, I'd imagine. But it's quite. When you look over the edge down, it's hugely defensive. You know, however you would have breached it, I don't know. You know, it certainly, you know, did its job. But it
the
is
size of the stones and everything.
the size of the stone, like Jen said. But I think the head was too big to be a child, to be honest. But who knows how it comes out as spirit? Very true, Gemma. Yeah, it'd be interesting to try and run into the history if we can find out maybe any lives that were lost due to accidents there. I'm sure there would have been. You know, accidents happen. And if in them days, health and safety was not top priority, really, was it? In them days,
No. No.
There was a chance of an attack. Health and safety goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe they did lose quite a few animals, children, even gunners, soldiers, quite possibly in accidents. So keep on this page, and we'll see if we can try and track down and find out if we can put a name to a head or a body. Which would be quite interesting if we can. What else, boys, did you get? Because you wandered off quite a few. What was that?
Yeah, I didn't get much.
Then I heard that then. Well, there was a little voice, wasn't there?
There was a voice.
Yeah.
Did anybody hear it?
Not sure.
I did.
I heard it. It's
Yeah,
like a little child's voice.
I heard it, yeah.
How weird is that? It's like a little child's voice, isn't it?
Yeah, there was definitely something there.
So, yeah, sorry, boys. You were wandering around and didn't...
Yeah,
It was
went
quite
to-
audible, wasn't it?
We went
Yeah.
to school, didn't we? We went in that
Yeah.
shop.
Oh yeah, we went in the shop. We were in the shop for quite a while.
Little shop.
The little shop.
Yeah.
We were in there for quite a while.
Didn't get anything in
Didn't get
there.
anything there, did we?
No.
Only a little bit of the red bulb went off once, did it? I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, it went off once, but yeah.
Did you go into the evacuees room where they used to put the evacuees?
Did we go in there?
I don't think so.
They had like big long school benches behind I think what probably would have housed horses because they had the railings above the wooden boards. Anybody else go there? I'm sure it said evacuee something. Do you remember it, Jim?
What's that?
Do you remember the room with evacuee something was in it? Do you remember they had big long school benches in there?
Okay.
Do you remember that one? No. I went in there on my own for a little while.
Yeah, that's where we were.
And that was sort of a bit the same, really. A few knocks and taps. At one stage, I thought I heard someone walk past me when I was in there, but I looked round and there was nobody there. But it could have been a bit of an echo of somebody walking somewhere else. Because, what else did it? Had an Anderson shelter there, didn't it? Opposite Blacksmiths. Was it a Blacksmiths? I think it was a Blacksmiths, yeah, which was down one of the little side rooms. But
Yeah.
so I sat in the evacuee place. I'm sure it's called the evacuee. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Jim has put the boys were standing there too. Wasn't very active. I think a lot of it, Julia said, and I think Gemma saw a few shadow figures, and it was very much corner of your eye
Yeah.
type movement.
Yeah, and I kept on seeing
I
when
did.
me and Ben were in one of the rooms. I kept on seeing this like white light
Yeah,
just
that's what I
was
thought.
appearing,
Yeah.
like really strangely. Yeah,
In the corner of your eye or in the around the room?
yeah, it was like moving around the room. Really strange. And Ben said he saw a shadow.
I thought when we were looking in that, you guys were looking in that room, and I just had a feeling to look down the corridor. I don't know why, and then all of a sudden I saw something in the corner of my eye, like go past like that, like really quickly. But yeah, I wasn't sure what I saw.
It was very much like that, wasn't it? The corner of your eye movements,
Yeah.
very audible, lots of taps and knocks, and
Yeah,
obviously the whistles and that type of thing. Although, visually we didn't see much, but the highlight was the tank room really, with the bangs and the the shuffling and the noises, and
yeah,
of course as the night goes on you get a bit more and more freaked by it. And then the tank room is getting darker and darker and darker, and then obviously Dave had his arm touched or whatever, sort of put their hand on his arm, which was a bit freaky, really. And then the scratching.
There's an alarm.
Really that.
There's a lot like an alarm went off in there as well.
Oh, yes.
The alarm, yeah.
Don't you remember it, boys? It went diddly-diddly-diddly.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a REM pod. Do you remember? We thought it was a REM pod.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
K2.
yeah. Someone said, didn't they? Yeah, is that someone's REM pod? But
We thought,
Ben only had K2 on the floor, didn't he? That was like
yes.
Don't make a
It
noise.
was like,
yeah.
and it made like, that's good, Luke. Yeah, well done. And it was like an alarm going off, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
And that was a very strange
Not a
noise,
but-
wasn't
Oh,
it?
weird, like old noises sort of thing, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
you know, that was well remembered, Luke. That was.
Yeah.
yeah. I'd forgotten all about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan, too, the most active place for us was the hub, where we had two K2s on the table and both were constantly bouncing between amber and red. And that was in the hub. I never tried there.
No, we didn't.
No.
The US were there in World War II before going off to the D-Day landings. So it's obviously full of energy somewhere then. To me, it was very audible building, you know, very noisy, noise that you could hear shuffling and walking. I think at one stage we thought we heard footsteps. And I think I may have recorded them on the voice recorder. And there's a few bits on there. I think we were in Women at War, Luke, when we heard a whisper. Do you remember?
I remember, yeah.
And we were listening to it on the voice recorder. It's very, very faint.
Yeah.
And then I heard when we were on the water tank, when we were standing there, I heard a bang. And I heard someone say, "Get out." And I said to you boys, didn't I? Something just said, "Get out."
That was weird in there.
That was, although it echoed, but the guy that was filming in there after us said it echoed like around the room, but he actually got down and walked over to the back of the room, the tank. And he said he didn't like it over there and he thought he heard someone say to him, "Get out there." But he was saying when he was down there, the echo was not in that room.
Oh.
Which he found very strange because his friends were calling and you could hear the echo. They could clearly hear it. But where he was standing, he could not hear the echo. He could hear their voices, but not the echo. It could be the way the shape of the building is where he was standing and the sound didn't bounce off the walls. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But he said to me he heard a voice say to him, "Get out." And he sort of hastily headed a bit further away from the wall. And he was saying it was on the sort of the right-hand side. As we looked for the platform, it would have been his left-hand side. He climbed down and walked to go over there.
It was just
I don't know
very interested in there. I mean, because it wasn't just the same noises, was it?
No.
It was like, you know, like the shuffling, like the taps, the bangs, and then you had the like, dragging noise where it sounded like someone was dragging something through something.
Yeah.
You get the sense of a murder there, don't you? Somebody's happened to someone in there. And I thought when it was getting really, really dark and it was all kicking off, I thought I saw someone peer around one of the posts.
Yeah.
I said, I've just seen someone, and I'm sure I saw a head and a face peer around the edge of the post. But at that time, we were just turning to head out because it was getting late then, and I think it was about 1:45 we were there, and we were heading out because I think the guy was shutting down about 1:50.
Yeah.
But I think I'd like to go to that tank room and spend a lot more time there.
Yeah.
You know, whether he would say, "Yeah, you're okay to climb down there and sit in there." I have a photo of that room. It looks like smoke or mist, but it could just be the floor. Send the photo in, Gemma. Let's have a look. You let people have a look at it. Yeah, it was very strange in there. It could be mist. I'm not sure. But it had a strange vibration in that room, I must admit.
I was trying to debunk it, wasn't I, as well?
Yeah, we were trying. No matter what we tried.
I thought there's pipes in there, but there wasn't.
No, the only things in there was the ladders, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which were on, as we were standing there, we were on the left-hand side. I think where Gemma's got the picture of the light. I think the ladders, there was 2 ladders on the left-hand side. So whether we could hear someone coming down the ladder, but we definitely heard shuffling, dragging type noises. Is the sort of place I think you could spend a few hours in there. And I think it would get totally scary in there.
But that first bang, that massive bang,
Yeah,
we were first in there with Luke.
Yeah.
Luke's mum, and that was a massive bang. That was.
Yeah.
But what could that have been?
No idea.
I don't know whether that was someone slamming the gate, because I know I saw someone by that gate as we were heading out. I said to you, there's someone by that gate. So whether they would slam the gate bang, and that's the bang we heard, but what a bang it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive.
It come out of nowhere, wasn't it? Can you make a noise?
Yeah,
You know, if you make a noise, we'll go,
yeah,
isn't it? And then I don't know how long before that and the bang,
yeah,
20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah.
yeah,
And the biggest bang, that's the loudest bang I've heard.
yeah. That was a
One of the
massive.
investigators. You know, you hear doors slam, don't you? And
Especially
bits
when
like that.
everyone's like initial reaction is to run. Everyone's just trying to get out of there.
Big brave investigators, aren't we?
Oh, I'm gonna go in this room.
We ask for it to happen, and when it happens, we're off. It's the windy ghost. I think a bit more than a windy ghost, Sally. I think we were the windy ghosts then when that bang happened.
Yeah, probably.
I think, you know, what I saw behind that gate obviously was like a black shadow, and I wonder whether they actually slammed the gate was the bang.
Could be.
I don't know. I know Luke and Lynn were already out the door and on the way down the corridor. And we stood there, didn't we? We were thinking, shall we go? We better go. We better go. We said we'd go if it makes a noise, and it has made the noise. So you know, you have to be respectful for the spirit. You've asked it to make a noise, and you go. And then we went, didn't we? But we were all still looking behind us, and we were going out.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
It was like you're thinking something's there, something's coming, you know. And the echo was something else, wasn't it? Really.
Oh God, yeah.
I think that made it even creepier.
Yeah, it
You
did.
hear it and like your voice carrying on, you're thinking, wow.
Yeah.
All in all, yeah, I thought it was a very audible building. You know, I think I'd like to go back again, you know, have another go. I think I would sit out in that tank room.
Yeah.
What we do have to take into account is that some of the spirits may not necessarily be tied to the fault. The area has so much history, including smugglers, etc. We have to be open-minded of everything that may have passed through by the area and it's around. That's very true, Sally. You know, you look about how long it dates back to. You know, they would have had smugglers, like you say, and you know the fault would have been there then. You know, were there a type of police there in them days for smugglers? Would it have always been an army fort? Like you say, even the surrounding area is creepy outside in the car park. You know, because you've got the long tunnel as you go in, don't you? You know, and it's all the area is known. It's right on the harbour as well. Portland Bill is haunted too. Francis Giles. Well, yeah, the whole area I think is very haunted. It's like if you go to Devon and Cornwall, isn't it? You know, lots of smugglers and lots of untoward going on down there. You know, they were deliberately running boats around. Sorry?
Pirates and everything. A lot of history, isn't there, down?
It's a bit similar to an experience Angela had in the caves, wasn't it? Do you remember?
Remind me.
When you were down in the caves with Darren and you heard a conversation inside the caves. Do you remember?
I
We were
don't
going to
think
talk
it was
about
in
it.
the caves. It was just the walls outside. There was not walls, but the big stones and that. And I could hear voices coming from that.
And where was that, Andrew? Can you remember where that was? That you?
No, I can't remember what beach. We went to so many beaches. I can't remember which one it was.
But that's an interesting story. Hearing voices from the stones outside. So it just shows you how stones can collect energy, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's probably a lot
that's-
of pirate places and smugglers' coves that you don't know about anyway. So they obviously go underwater when the tide comes in. So it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of shipwrecks. Yes, Francis, very true. And the smugglers would guide them to the Lyme Regis was a major smugglers' town. There you go. See, it's all on that Jurassic coastline. And they would have put false flames up to run the boats to Allen too. It's also Pirates Graveyard in Portland. So you can imagine the whole area is very spiritual, isn't it? With pirates, And I know, you know, they would light false lanterns, wouldn't they? So the boats thought it was like a lighthouse or a guide, and they would run them aground.
Yeah.
You know, so there'd be a lot of death in the water on the ships as well as on the land. You know, they'd probably shot each other, and you know, they'd be fighting for a good shipwreck, wouldn't they? And all the goods on the shipwreck, and so you can imagine the loss of life around the edge of the area. And that Jurassic coast is known for that. Same as you go into Devon and Cornwall, you know, all them coasts are known for running ships aground and doing what they do to loot them. You know, so it's quite a place. What's our next investigation? Where are we off to next?
Fort Whitley.
So Fort Widley's the next one. We like a good old fort here. So Fort Widley's a very good place. I'm not sure whether it's sold out, so get onto Julia's website and have a look, see if it's sold out. But Fort Widley's is a good one. There's always something. I want to see that. Yeah. The Fort Widley's a good place. You know, lots of activity happens there. So it's always a good one to be on. Then we're back to the favourite, Shepton Mallet, very soon, which everybody's looking forward. We're out in 2 weeks, yay. Where are you off to, Ghost Dragon Investigations? Where are you out to? So we got Fort Widley, then Shepton Mallet, I think, is after that, isn't it?
Yeah. Start of May, I think.
Yeah. I think we fly back in from Spain on the Friday, so we might travel up on the Saturday to Shepton Mallet, or depends how Jen is, or myself would go. So we're looking forward to that. Shepton Mallet. Let's always enjoy that place. Old Harbour Mill. Is that near you boys? Somewhere around that area?
I think I've heard of that.
I don't know.
Have you?
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Is it in the Somerset area? I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure where that is. I think it might be in the Somerset area. I think maybe Ghost Dragon Investigations have mentioned this before, this place. So I'm sure they're on there. So we're trying to encourage Luke to bring one of his haunted dolls on a paranormal experiment, aren't we, Luke?
Yeah.
Wellington. So I think the boys were trying to talk you into bringing a haunted doll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring it.
I think Shepton Mallet might be good for that, Luke.
It would be, yeah.
Leave it in one of the corridors. Ghost Dragon Investigation could be some spare tickets, abnormal, paranormal, of your interest, if you're interested, of your interest.
We can have a little think about that, can't we? Yeah.
So the boys will be in touch with you, go along with you. Right. Bit dragged on about the fort, but it was a very good investigation, very audible. You know, get well soon, Julia, and we'll hopefully see you next week. So from all of us, anybody got anything else to add for tonight?
Nope.
No. It's a long week, long weekend. Drove all the way home.
We got a hangover. Paranormal hangover.
There's
What
a
did
new
you
app.
say, Luke?
They released a new app, Spirit Wave, I think. Barry Guy released it.
Oh yeah, did you get it?
I probably will soon, yeah.
Yeah, get it for a check.
So it might be worth trying it.
Probably, yeah.
I'll take my tablet to Shepton Mallet because I've got Necrophonic and Echovox on there.
Yeah.
So it might be worth running that in there. Are you going to that one, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must be at the end of your garden, Dave, is it? Apparently, you've got a long garden. It's called Somerset County.
I wish.
Imagine cutting that lawn. Anyway, so we've got nothing else to add. Thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. Ghost Dragon Investigation. Great to have you here, Sally, and all the others. Graham, Alan, and all the others. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Gemma, brilliant capture on the photo. Well done. Be very proud of that. It's not often you catch good photographs like that. Hopefully we can do some research and find out if we can put a name to it. I don't think there's any more comments, Andrew, is there? We haven't missed anybody out. Don't bother. It's just the Alice app, which is free. So that's Alan's choice. Luke,
Yeah.
consider you being told.
Yeah.
So we should be looking into that, no doubt. Whether we trust the apps, who knows? But sometimes they're good. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's been a great night talking about Nothe Fort. Good investigation. We thoroughly enjoyed it, what we caught. And well done again, Gemma, for that photograph. And thank you for lending us to show it. So thank you again for that. So it only remains me to say have a very, very safe week. If there's anything you want to know, please message us, myself, Angela, the South Coast Ghost, Paul at Host for Ghosts, even the boys, Paranormal, or Luke, Abnormal Paranormal. Get in contact, Ghost Dragon Investigations. They might be in contact with you about going to the hill. So keep an eye out for them. Great investigators, good fun to be with, good energy. We enjoyed it. It was really good. So only remains for me to say have a very, very safe week, and we'll see you all next week with another topic. And if you think of any topics you'd like us to talk about, we're trying to get Luke to talk about haunted dolls. We want them lined up behind him.
Yeah.
We can see if they move. So there's an experiment, Luke. Come on, Luke. Get them dolls lined up.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of them.
So if one of them falls off or puts their hand on your shoulder, we know you've got a really haunted doll then.
Yeah.
Anyway.
One photo of one doll, but I haven't had any further photos. So I don't know if I'm moving or not.
No changes yet.
I don't know what you do all day, Luke. You have all day to take photos.
And no changes yet.
You keep taking them, Luke. We want to see them on here.
Yeah.
Go Dragon Invasion. Burn the dolls, lol. Live on Paranormal Monday Night Live. Luke sacrifices the dolls. The witch finder Luke.
Yeah.
That's what we call you, the witch finder Luke.
Yeah.
Anyway, stay safe, everybody. Have a very, very safe week. And if you're out investigating at the weekend, stay safe. And we'll see you next Monday. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.